Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Phil Tillman, your host, and today we're delighted to be taping this program from the Eastern Shore Baseball Hall of Fame right here located in the Arthur W. Purdue Stadium. And with us is an old guy that's hard to get a word at. You know, it's hard to convince him to say anything, but old Teddy Evans. Teddy, welcome to the program, and thanks for welcoming us into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us, and we're really proud of our museum. And the history of baseball on the Delmarva Peninsula is second to none over the past years. It's produced some of the greatest players who ever played the game. Not all from here, but these are passed through here while they're working their way to the majors.
Yeah, as is right now, when we watch the Orioles and we see Markakis and Roberts play, we can say, well, they were on the Eastern Shore for a while with the Delmarva Shorebirds and a lot of others. Jason Worth playing with the Nationals.
Jason Worth, yes. And then the first year, we had about 4 guys. When there were the Expo change, the first year, there's about 4 of them that made it to the majors. Some of them are still up there. So the Delmarva produced quite a few players, yesteryears and the modern day, too.
And what a facility this is. Here, and a collection of memorabilia from years past with the connection with East. There was a time that baseball on the Eastern Shore was really big in all the little towns, was it not?
Years ago, before they had lights at night, it was all day games. The Delmarva Peninsula had teams from Parksley and Pocomo, Crisfield, Seaford, Cambridge, and they all played day games, and they could all transfer and be back home that evening and didn't have the expense of staying on the road. And people would stop work and go to the ball game, and then when the game was over, the old timers said they'd go back and finish their day's work. There was nothing else to do, no TV or anything. So.
Teddy, I grew up in Federalsburg, as you know, and Federalsburg had a team in the old Central, I guess it was called the Central Shore League or Eastern Shore League. Eastern Shore League. And Ducky Detweiler was well known around the community.
Yeah, right.
And of course married a local girl.
And
stayed right there in Federalsburg.
And he still comes to the games. He comes to nearly every game, and he'll stay 1 or 2 innings. He won't stay the whole game, but he always comes in, and if anybody's in the museum, he pokes his head in and says hello, just like Mr. Purdue used to do. Yeah. He was an avid baseball fan, too.
Oh, yeah, Frank Purdue.
Yes, he was. He's a great help to the Delmarva Peninsula.
So I guess it was Frank who made this space available?
That's what it was, yep. He wanted to, he really wanted to be a professional baseball player. And he played collegiate ball, but he didn't have quite enough to get him. So instead of being the all-star baseball player, he became the all-star poultry player, as they say. Great man. He's been a great help up, and we really appreciate all he's done for us.
Yeah, and the All-Star game, the South Atlantic League All-Star game is going to be played here this year.
Yes, sir.
And as part of that, a banquet.
Right.
And guess who's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well deserving of it. He was a #1 baseball fan. Every night he'd come to a game, he would, if you were here, he'd poke his head in and say hello. And if he had a minute, he really loved this museum. He really did. And,
a
big help to us.
Jimmy Fox. I see you have the Jimmy Fox Home Run Club. What's the Jimmy Fox Home Run Club?
We're a nonprofit organization, and Jimmy Fox hit 500-some home runs, so we sell plaques in memory of him in appreciation or donation to. It helps us to create a little bit of money, he's a local boy, one of the greatest players of all time, and Ted Williams says he hit the ball harder than anybody who ever played the game, and when Ted Williams says something about hitting, you better listen.
Yeah.
But
now, where was Jimmy Fox
He was from Sudlersville, Maryland.
Sudlersville.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
then you have Major League players. There's a whole wall of pictures there. Delmarva Major League players.
Yes.
And it looks like there's about, 20 of them. And Harold Baines is one that sticks out because we all know Harold Baines.
And then we got the Brohan boy that just played with the world champion Diamondbacks. So the Delmarva Peninsula is producing some, and we got more to come because our high school caliber baseball is coming up to par with throughout the state. Years ago, when you crossed the Bay Bridge, we were a little bit cut short, but now we got good high school coaches, and we're getting the players, and they're really making a name for themselves, and they're producing in college and in the major leagues. Mm-hmm.
There's the Salisbury Indians. There's an interesting story about when that was the Central Shore League.
Yeah.
And they had some of their games disqualified or something.
They had to forfeit.
Tell us that story.
Well, they years ago, Jake Flowers had the Salisbury Indians, and they started the season, and they won about the first 22 games. And come find out, a scout come by, and he said, there's something wrong with this program. Said, you got 2 illegal players. So they had 2 illegal players who were playing in the Mexican League in the winter and coming up here to play, so they had to forfeit 20 of the first 20-some games. And it's an article about that in Cooperstown baseball, that one of the greatest baseball conferences in the history of the game, they had to forfeit 20 some games of the first 22, and they ended up winning the pennant on the last game of the season.
Last game of the season.
Last game of the season, and they had a parade in Salisbury, and it was Jake Flowers was the manager, and he was a great player on the, him and Vic Keene, local guys, played on the St. Louis Cardinals World Championship team.
Oh, I see.
2 local boys from Delmarva Peninsula on the same World Championship baseball team. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
It really is.
And then Jake Flowers came back here to manage.
He came back here to
team.
manage and created one of the great baseball accomplishments in the history of the game.
Yeah, what a neat. And another interesting local thing, the bat boy on that team.
Yeah, Morris Fields. They let Morris Fields quit school. He actually quit school and become the bat boy. And he went back and graduated later. But they actually let him quit school, become the bat boy, because they played all-day games, and there was no night games. And Morris is one of our founders with our baseball museum, and I played against him, and Morris was a competitor. He pitched.
Yeah.
He was an outstanding player himself.
Yeah, became a good golfer, too.
Yes, he did. And he's just a credit to the
great guy.
Credit to the community.
A lot of people remember him from officiating basketball for years.
Yeah,
he was a basketball official on the Eastern Shore. Very even-tempered, level-headed guy. Nice guy.
Yes, he was.
Well, what are these back here? We have all these gloves from years to years and that sort of thing. What's that all about?
Well, it's a promotion. We recognize people who promoted the game. You don't have to be a ball player. You could have been a manager, coach. We have females inducted because they help promote the game of baseball, and you could have been a major league player, a good outstanding minor league player, and we recognize you, and we vote on you. You have to be voted, and we induct you, and you get a plaque hang in here, and then you get one to take home, and you get a governor's citation. So it's really something to work at. We're proud of it, and it helps promote people coming in and say, well, my grandpop, he played, or my aunt, she was a member of the Delmarva Baseball Foundation. So we're really proud of it.
And speaking of Ducky Detweiler, there's his picture right
Ducky.
there.
You know, Ducky, one of the few players who I believe, I'm quite sure, he got 4 hits his first game he ever played in the major leagues.
Really?
Yeah, one of the few guys who ever played in the major leagues. I think he got 4 hits the first game he played. He did make the major leagues, and that's something to be proud of.
Was there a few times you got 4 hits, Teddy Evans?
A few times. Nobody loved him more than me, I can tell you that. No, I love to play.
Well, one of the things that you have in here, a lot of things, but one of the things is old uniforms.
Yeah, 100% wool. You couldn't get a kid to put that on today. I mean, you ride 100 miles after you played a doubleheader, and 100% wool. We have them hanging up here, and people don't realize the minor league player, they just wouldn't put it on. They got these breakaway jerseys, see-through. It's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we lost weight like everything else. You had to lose weight. Play a doubleheader in 100% wool uniform. I didn't weigh much as it was. But anyway, it was fun. Nobody.
Well, when I had the pleasure of playing for the Sharptown in the American Legion, and Alex Smoot was the coach. Jeff Smoot was on that team as well. And we had the old Salisbury Cardinals wool uniforms. That we had gotten and handed down from year. It wasn't this new uniform every year.
No.
And those things, I play a doubleheader, and about this halfway through the second game, those things will weigh about 15 pounds.
Wring water out of them,
really.
yeah. But these kids, they don't they think you're talking from outer space, but they don't realize what we put up with. And they ride in a stinking car with 4 players from Cape Charles to Salisbury. After you played a doubleheader, I rest my case. You know how that smelled. But we really loved it.
Loved the game.
Yes, we did. And we produced a lot of good players, really.
Yeah.
And the kids nowadays who in Little League and Pony League, they're reaping some of the benefits that the senior guys learned from experience, and some of them pursued on and went be outstanding players.
Has it been your experience, this just happened to come to my mind, some of the sweetest swings I've ever seen in baseball are left-handers?
Yes.
And is that your impression too, that a left-hander who has I'm thinking of Freddie Lynn.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of Alex Smoot. I'm thinking of Jeff Smoot.
Yeah.
And his son.
Oh yeah.
Chris
nice
Smoot.
player, brother.
All left-handers, and when they had, there's just a nice swing, good follow through, sweet.
Yeah. Well, the reason I played left-handed, I was closer to first base. That's what speed, and you're a step or two closer. It's Mickey Mantle was a greater hitter left-handed. He was right because he was so fast, and he had to come back to the pitcher, and you'd have a problem. He'd beat it out.
He
makes
hit a home run one time and a bunt single, drag bunt the next.
He's one of the 5 greatest players of all time.
Really?
Oh yeah. Baseball people say Willie Mays probably. Most baseball people say the greatest all-around player, could do everything better than anybody else. Some of them might do one thing better than Willie Mays, but I've never seen a player could do everything as good as him.
Who's the best player you ever played with or against? Or the best?
Well, no relation to him. Rusty Evans, and they want to take him nearly to the International League from Princess Anne. That's when I was in high school. Rusty worked for Joshua Wayne, and they wanted to take him right from Salisbury to the International League. Bypass all the C, D, B, A. That's how good he was. And Rusty didn't want to leave the island. If anybody couldn't have made the major, Rusty Evans could have. Rusty was a great player. Everybody recognized him. We had some good ones. Joe Burnham was an outstanding player, and Cart Kugler, and we just had a mess of them.
Yeah.
If they were coming along day, they would give them some big money. They could do it all.
Yeah. What do you think about when you see some of the salaries that are paid today, and you guys would pay to play?
Yeah. It's, people say, my grandsons, they say, Pop, they want to believe you, but they really don't. But some of us old timers, we could play with them now today. See, they expanded. There was only 20 major league teams when we come along, and now we have 40. So it's watered down quite a bit. They're good players. They know how to play the game, but you don't have to be the great player of yesteryear to make it to the majors today. I think anybody will tell you that.
How about some of the ball fields or stadiums? We talk about this being a stadium rather than a ball field. What were some of the towns? All built stadiums? Did they? The town built them, or?
Yeah, the town did. The Recreation Commission in most places. Yeah, and some of them are still standing. Cambridge Old Ballpark, I think, is still in existence. Pocomoke is still in existence. Some of them faded. And Snow Hill, I think they made a city park out of there. They don't have the playing field out, but every time Berlin, they have their Little League complex where they're not stadium, where the ballparks. Every town had a ballpark.
Yeah.
Wasn't nothing else to do but play ball.
Oh yeah. I remember fondly the ballpark in Federalsburg.
Yeah.
And the concession stand over top of that was a place for the players, out of town players, to live.
Yeah. I will tell you something. You may not think it's funny. Man, I worked out many years ago. Maury Wills, the great American League, National League player for the Dodgers. I worked out at Federalsburg. I went up to Federalsburg from Princess Anne, and I slept outside the stadium till the baseball tryouts started at Federalsburg. I'll never forget it. And Maury Wills, people don't realize, Maury Wills was tried to be signed by several people other than the Dodgers. He was carried around for a lot of teams to look at. And I worked out, Maury Wills was shortstop, and I worked out at second base, while we were trying out, showing off our talents. And of course, he had a little bit more talent than I did. But anyway, I remember that. I slept outside the ballpark, so I'd be sure I'd be there when it opened up Saturday morning, And I hitchhiked from Princess Anne up to Federalsburg, which was a long way in.
Oh, my. Yes, it is.
But, I like to reminisce, really.
Teddy, this space is provided through the generosity of Frank Perdue.
Yes.
But it just doesn't happen. There has to be a group of people that make sure that, I mean, this place is absolutely gorgeous and what a wonderful collection. Who runs this facility?
We do, the Eastern Shore Baseball Hall of Fame Foundation, and Kenny Green's our president. We have a lot of help. We have a lot of volunteer help, and anybody out there who's interested in baseball who would like to be associated, we're in dire need of more because you never have enough, you know. Mm-hmm. And we try to we're open by appointments. We give tours for schools and civic organization, and we're open every time the Shorebirds play. We're open at game time. We don't have the money to stay open year round, but we're open at game time. And we do really feel we have one of the nicest museums.
Yeah.
I've been to Cooperstown and Ty Cobb Museum. I've been to Babe Ruth Museum, and I might be a little partial. We have a very, very nice baseball museum.
If you come to a game and you bring your son or daughter or something like that, and you want to come in, what does it cost?
It's no charge. It's
free.
The free. We take donations, of course, but we don't charge.
And you look at these pictures and the names, and you just see last name after last name, Evans.
Right.
Certainly other names that are associated with families around the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
And there's bound to be, if the family's been around here very long, there's bound to be one of their family members
involved in there.
Who's in here. Yeah.
And if you ever have the opportunity to come into the museum, the baseball museum, we advertise outside, but unless you come through the main entrance, if you come up on each side of us, you don't realize the museum's here. But if you can get in this museum, you will return again because it is one of the nicest.
Well, you can't even begin to see it all in one visit.
No. And if you go, like you say, if you go around far, you'll find some uncle who played here, or grandpop or something, and bring back a lot of history.
I saw a letter on the wall up there, and it's it's made out. It says to Judge. I guess Judge Landis.
Yeah, Judge Landis, right.
And it's written
Hanging
by
Judge
Franklin Delano Roosevelt,
right.
Urging them to continue having baseball during World War II.
Right through the Depression, World War II.
Saying that the public needed it. That's that letter must be worth a fortune.
It is. And the photograph, right, we'll take a picture of it later. We have one of the oldest pieces here is the Hanging Judge, Kennesaw Landis, throwing out the first pitch of the stadium when it was on Zion Road up there by the car. That's where it was originally. Judge Landis came down here and threw out the first ball to the grand opening. I think it's 1923.
Yeah.
And that's one of the oldest and one of the nicest material we have in the museum. It's something to look at and read. Yeah. And Mr. L.W. Gumby was one of the officials of the league, and he's in the photograph with
is that right?
Hanging Judge, yeah. I call him a Hanging Judge because he was. He didn't tolerate any messing around. And Shoeless Joe Jackson, bless his heart, he was one of the greatest players of all time. And he went to his grave saying he wasn't guilty of the fix, but what he did.
With the Black Sox.
He associated with guys who did. And Judge Landis says, he's guilty as them. He said, and they're still trying to get him into the Cooperstown Hall of Fame because he had, how can you bat 360 something and lead the World Series in runs scored and batting and stolen bases? You can't do that and throw a game. Mm-hmm. But his players, his fellow,
he was guilty by association.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he went to his grave saying that. Yeah.
Many of us remember fondly, I do, Little League Baseball, and the teams from Federalsburg all went up to Memorial Stadium to watch that. And the first time you walk through that concourse and see that stadium, and you actually have some seats here from the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore.
Donated by Mayor Smoke, had them sandblasted, painted, and donated to our museum, the original.
Terrific.
And we have some seats from Shide Park, the old Shide Park.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's sitting back there. And we got a lot of history here. Yeah. I just wish the people would bring their family. They will enjoy it. There's no doubt about it. If you love baseball.
There's also a connection with Cal Ripken. I see a whole wall devoted to Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken, one of the great players of all time, and here's another thing. Our local manager here, a lot of people don't realize, he replaced Cal Ripken when Cal Ripken's last baseball game.
Ryan Miner took his place.
And we have it so donated, and Ryan Miner, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
And Ryan Miner was, people don't realize, he was nominated All-American basketball player too in his day. He was a pretty good athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I was playing in a golf tournament, and I went over to this guy and I said, Ryan, it's nice to see you. It was his twin brother. He has a twin brother.
I learned it. I didn't know that. But,
Yeah.
He's a credit to him. He's done well for Delmarva. He puts his heart and soul in it, and that's what it takes.
And of course, Cal, we can't say he's an Eastern Shoreman, but he's certainly a Marylander.
Oh, yeah, he is that.
From up there in Harford County.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been to his. He has a beautiful stadium and complex too up there.
We were just saying, Chris Bitters was telling us that Cal Ripken owns 3 minor league franchises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, so
he's done well.
He's in baseball. He's still in baseball.
He knows how to make a dollar.
Yeah, well,
and, you got to be. He knew how to make it when he was playing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He was. A lot of people don't realize it. For most infielders, second base, shortstop, they're not very big players. Cal Ripken was a big man to play shortstop. Mm-hmm. He was really, but he done it well and he played it well. Credit to the game. Yeah.
Some of the equipment that's used today, you see the guys come up to bat and they're batting gloves and they do all this kind of stuff and everything else. And then you look in this Hall of Fame at some of the gloves, like I see this catcher's glove. How in the world could somebody catch and not have their hand burnt up?
You had to use 2 hands. There's no such thing as the catcher's glove now. Looks like a first baseman's mitt.
Years
ago.
Yeah.
You had to be a two-hand player.
I guess one well-known guy who used to catch was Joe Long.
Oh, Hubba. Yeah. I played with him and against him. Now, for a big man, he was a hustler. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And a lot of fun.
Yeah, and he could hit that long ball once in a while too.
Oh, really?
He's a big man, Joe Long. He hit a home run every once in a while, a long ways.
Yeah.
Couldn't run fast as a snail, bless his heart, but anyway, he loved the game.
Teddy, black baseball players. I guess in the days of the old Eastern Shore League, it was white only.
Yeah, and then they had the Interstate League.
The blacks had their own
league.
Baseball.
It was called Interstate League.
Darn good baseball players.
Oh yeah, several of them inducted here. Jesse Lucas, a lot of them. And we played them an All-Star game every year. Oh, we had a big time.
Yeah.
And I was born and raised in Princess Anne and Oaksville Eagles. That was a renowned, famous club, and they're still in existence today, and we're trying to get their baseball diamond to a historical landmark. It should be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think it's in the works, and I hope to make it. It should be. They produced a lot of players that kept kids out of trouble and playing ball, and Sam Doan he's one of our founders. Sam Doan played down there, Sam, and he was a good player. He played till he was about 80, I think.
Another Eastern Shore name that we certainly associate with politics is Talls, Governor Talls, J. Miller Talls.
Yeah.
Before he was governor, before he was the state treasurer, was the secretary of the Chrisfield team.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And then there were, of course, several, Scarchi.
Scarchi. Scarchi was a good player. Scarchi played first base, and he was an outstanding fielder. I mean, he was a good first baseman. He couldn't hit, real high average, but he was a winner. And I enjoyed playing against him and with him, and he made the All-Star team several times, and he was in the game. You knew he was there, and I like that kind of player.
There's something about those Somerset County boys from Princess Anne and Chrisfield. They all can tell a good story. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Right, I'm true.
Yeah, they can. And listen, people laugh. Most of them are true, really. Yeah.
Or
and some of them
true.
they've been the truth a little bit, but but,
embellish it just a little
just
bit.
A little tad.
Yeah.
And like I won't say it, but I played for Chrisfield one time in an All-Star game, and the manager he had his Summers bottle, but everybody thought it was iced tea in it, but it wasn't.
Oh, little libation.
Yeah, I was on batting on deck, and he come over and said, "Teddy, take 2 and hit the right." If people play baseball, know what that means. Take
Yeah.
2 strikes and a hit. But anyway, we had more fun. Nobody has much fun. They don't have their fun like we do today. They really don't.
We went to Chrisfield one time. I did, to the Methodist church down there. They were having a supper. I think it was their Lions Club, maybe. But anyway, several Talls members were there, and one of them, Bob Talls, the automobile guy,
Right, yeah.
told the story of J. Millard Talls, the secretary, telling Connie Mack, that who owned the Philadelphia Phillies, or the A's, excuse me, we need a pitcher, and if we do, we can win the pennant down here. And the telegram came back and it said, meet the train at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and your pitcher will be on board. So Millard Talls went down there, had a uniform and everything, because they were playing that day. And coming off the train was this real tall, lanky guy by the name of Paul Richards.
Oh, yeah, he played that.
Who later managed the Orioles.
Yeah,
He
right.
was the first manager
Right,
of the
yeah,
Orioles.
yeah, mhm, yeah.
And Millard Talls took him under the stands, let him put a uniform on. He went in, and then he wasn't a pitcher. He was a pitcher and a catcher.
Yeah, right. Mhm.
But stories like that,
Yeah,
that's what this room
Yeah.
and all the memorabilia here, there must be 1,000 stories.
Well, Paul Richards, speaking of him, he won the most valuable player in the league. He won the batting title when he played for Chrisfield.
Is that right?
I think it was around 1937. I'm not sure, but I know he played for Chrisfield and won the batting title. Carl Ferrillo played for Pocomoke, and it was just just great players played. They just passed through here, but they actually played on Delmar Peninsula. Yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of Chrisfield, I was down there one day playing, and there was a mosquito so big down to Chrisfield, it had a tick on it. I had to.
Now see, it had to come out. It had to come out, Teddy.
Yeah, well, playing second base, I need a blood transfusion. We got through playing that doubleheader down there, really.
Well, there were some places on the Eastern Shore that if you went and beat the local team, you better get out of town real quick. I've heard.
Oh, Smith Island. Oh, you starved to death, but if they beat you, they fed you like a king. Oh, yeah. We were always invited down to Smith Island. Every team, we go down there and
But
stay.
it was better for your tummy if you lost.
Oh, boy. They were good players. We had some players come over and played, but Smith Island was a baseball town, but they wanted to win.
So you all took the boat,
Yep.
took the mailboat or whatever
over
over
there
there.
and play, and then of course we let them win, so we have a good meal and won't be hungry when we got back. But anyway,
But
that's
you,
the truth.
You wouldn't spend the night. You
Oh,
just
no,
go over
no,
there
no,
for that day.
no,
Yeah.
But it was a baseball community. Yeah.
How many games in the Central Shore, in the Eastern Shore League? How many games would they play in a season?
Maybe around 30, 35. We didn't play a lot, you know.
Yeah, because most of those guys were working.
Sure, yeah, sure you worked. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But boy, we come baseball time now. Once in a while we play when lights came out. We'd play a night game or something. But
And
most
they
time
had
it was
lights
Sunday
here in
afternoon.
Salisbury, in Cambridge.
Yeah, in Cambridge, and Pocomoke had them.
Yeah. That was a big deal.
Oh,
to
yes.
go to a night game when it cooled off a little
Yes,
bit.
it was. Yeah.
Those wool uniforms weren't quite so heavy then, were they?
Yeah, the people. If they come in here and just feel it, they'll know we're telling the truth. 100% wool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Teddy, if somebody comes in here, say during a Shorebirds game, and walks around, is there somebody here like you or others to say, here, I want you to see this, or explain what this is or that is or whatever?
We give tours, and if an individual comes in and has any question, there's always somebody to try to answer for him. If we don't answer, we'll get it for him, really.
Yeah. And the foundation, are you able to attract a few younger people into the foundation?
Well, we'd like to have more, and we really do need volunteer because, let's face it, we've started in, 82, and that's quite a ways, and most of the directors now was the originals or close to it, but we need some new blood to keep it abreast, because we'd hate for it to, as hard as we work and what we've got, we'd hate for it to really.
It's just such a tremendous asset, and and it's worth a visit or two just to see everything one time. Yeah.
And the schools, once a year they generally have an afternoon, and they bring them in, and the kids are really impressed. They have a good time. Some of them not really enthused about baseball, but a lot of them are. They don't realize we're here, really.
Well, Teddy, I was worried that I was going to have to draw every word out of you, and I'm so pleased that you were able to find the strength and the words to say. Thank you so much for allowing us into the Hall of Fame. This is quite an honor for us at PAC14 to be here. So
well, thank you very much for having us, and tell a friend, and I think you'll be impressed.
Yes, I sure am, and I would encourage all of our watchers to just come in and browse around for a while, and you'll be impressed too. So thank you, Teddy Evans. Thank you, Eastern Shore Hall of Fame Foundation, and thank you for being with us right here on PAC14.
One-on-One is sponsored in part by a generous grant from PNC Bank.